Welcome to Joa Fitness Health Wellness Video Podcast, a space to ignite your day through positive conversations. We bring people that have created excellence in their life, sharing high vibration in their reawakening path.
Hello, my friends. Happy Friday and welcome to Back into Alignment. I am here, your podcast host, Joa Rivas. I am excited to welcome you to another episode. Every Friday, we bring you information related to spinal health and to wellness, especially because it comes from my own story having scoliosis and chronic back pain for 10 years, and how I actually transform my body and how I heal my body is actually very inspiring, and I can wait to share more information about secrets and solutions that are actually easy to get access. Today, we actually have Dr. Shivani Gupta, who is an Ayurvedic doctor, and it's really interesting how she has dedicated over 3 years to learn about the magic spice root turmeric, which you probably have heard before. Today, we are going to understand gut health and what are the challenges that we are now experiencing after the holidays and how we can apply the method of fusionary method that actually Dr. Shivani uses to help women and to help those that are actually having inflammatory problems. Today, I also wanted to invite you to the 30-day hip healing if you are experiencing lower back pain and hip stiffness. With the 30-day hip healing, you can practice only 10 minutes a day and you will be able to see a difference for 30 days. The most important on anything is to actually create a habit, and through behavioral change we will be able to implement 10 minutes stretches every day to be able to get a more mobile spine and also to improve your posture, which is something so important for those that are sitting for long hours. So if you are experiencing of hip mobility problem, or if you are having a constant lower back pain, then this program perhaps will be a very good way to start a change this 2023. So before further ado, let's start our conversation with Dr. Shivani Gupta. Hello, happy Friday. How are you today? I am excited to have you back into Alignment. My name is Joa Rivas, and I am the host of the podcast that brings you solutions for your body, especially if you are experiencing back pain. That's why it's called Back into Alignment. But Back into Alignment also resonates to coming back into what we our vision and our purpose. That's why I also call it Back into Alignment, because sometimes where we are experiencing pain in our body is because we're a little bit off the direction that we're supposed to be following. So I invite you today to take a deep breath first, and to also slow down a little bit and start thinking about if we are actually doing our purpose, if you're actually following your heart and your intuition. So I'm excited to bring these topics related to the spinal health. And especially at the beginning of the year, I like to bring a topic that is a little bit more general that can actually impact anyone that listens. And we have this month Dr. Shivani Gupta. She is an expert in Ayurveda and especially in turmeric, which is something that we are going to be diving deep into the magic of the benefits of taking turmeric in our diets, and not only in the nutrition, but also in all other ways. So thank you, Shivani, for giving us 30 minutes of your time. How are you, Shivani?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yes, great. I'm definitely excited to have you again. We have 2 talks in the last 2 weeks. We chatted about the basics about Ayurveda, and also we talk about how we can actually identify our doshas and our constitution as a human. So very interestingly, people can check the constitution in your website. Can you please remind us your website?
Yes, it's shivanigupta.com, SHIVANIGUPTA.
Yeah, so if you go to her website, to Shivani's website, you can actually go into the quiz where you only have to answer 10 questions. The 10 questions will give you a general idea about which one is the dosha that is your constitution. And from there, you can actually create a protocol of strategies to see the way to rebalance your energy. And we actually chatted last time about dinacharya, which is actually the the habits that we can actually implement during the day to be able to be our best during the day, especially in winter. I know if you are living in Toronto, where I am actually recording this podcast today, it's being affected by low blues, let's say the Blue Monday, which is a term that is used for a specific day where people feel very low, very depressed, or maybe they have a lot of stress from accumulation of work. And for mothers are always holding so much activities and responsibilities. So I hear you, and this is why we are bringing this topic today, which is actually related to the gut health. Gut health is actually correlated to hormones, especially serotonin. Serotonin is one of the hormones that give us relaxation. And as a yoga teacher, I can bring enough awareness to be relaxing in our days and finding breaks during the day to be able to reset our brain and to reset our bodies. And perhaps it could be taking a tea time, like Shivani was telling us that she loves to take tea, and she's actually now taking tea. Which tea are you drinking today?
A green jasmine tea. It's my favorite.
I love the smell of jasmine by itself, and the taste of green jasmine is actually one of my favorites for sure. And as a coach, that you are also a coach, and you actually are dedicated to coach women using the modern Ayurveda, I wanted to dive deep into why we have so many issues in our stomach, especially on the inflammation. And what is the biggest misconception related to gut health that you are experiencing with your patients right now?
Sure. Well, I think the biggest issue we're seeing is that as society, we've been programmed to believe that our stomach is like a garbage can. It's like a trash compactor. And we believe that we can just keep putting anything in there, that we can buy it at any store, doesn't matter what it is, and our stomach will somehow magically process this and only take the good and somehow get rid of all the bad. And the problem with that is we're making this assumption that everything that is sold to us as food is really food. It's not food. We're assuming that out in society, the other things that we're consuming, like water, air, thoughts, emotions, the chemicals that are around us as cleaning products, the chemicals that we put on our own body, like nail polish and makeup and everything we do for our beauty, we're assuming that everything that the body is consuming isn't impacting gut health. But now all of a sudden, modern science is like, wait a minute, we have some new data for you. There's this thing called the gut-brain axis. Turns out all our mental health issues could be tied to our gut health. Okay, wait a minute. Turns out the gut microbiome is an entire microbiome that should be honored and revered and respected daily to have the health and optimal health that we want. Or the fact that 70 to 80% of the immune system is residing alongside the gut lining. The fact that half of people are expected to be suffering from leaky gut and having permeability to their own gut lining, which is causing the entire system to be fighting off what we consume as if it's an enemy. So inflammation is rampant. Chronic low-grade persistent inflammation is rampant. The toxic overload on the body is extreme. And we don't want to acknowledge it. We want to say, hey, like, I'm feeling tired. Can you give me a pill? I'm anxious. Can you give me a pill? I have arthritis. Can you give me a pill? I have IBS. I'm going to go to GI. I'm going to hope they're going to give me a pill too. We're seeing such an extreme amount of inflammation and inflammation-based diseases. And I think what's good is, the positive to all of that negativity, is that there's a new paradigm in healthcare where modern Western medicine is looking at the science and saying, hey, thank you for these new discoveries. We need to explore new solutions, natural solutions, supplement-based solutions, because maybe pharma hasn't come out with every solution yet that we need to help our patients. Maybe we need a couple new toolkits. And that's where you're seeing functional medicine come through with solutions. Ayurveda has solutions, naturopathic medicine, chiropractic, acupuncture, homeopathic. So the complementary and alternative medicine modalities are now coming through saying, hey, that stuff you're talking about, we always had a preventive lifestyle for it. Let's talk about that now that you're recognizing the problem.
Yes, exactly. And especially because I try to always find the root cause of the inflammation. And it definitely, there is complexity to understand this, because it's not only one piece, it's an unit of factors that can actually influence into our inflammation. And many people come to me as a wellness coach, what can I do? Like, look at this belly. What can I do with this belly? And they want an answer like, let's do Pilates, let's do some crunches, let's do some exercising. There is this misconception. Even today, somebody came and saying he was unhappy, he was inflamed, just as a friend actually talking, like, Joe, I don't know what to do with this belly. And I tell him, you're not going to believe me, but I will start considering to check your sleep, which is actually I sleep, because he thought that it was about training. Because I'm not training. You know, like, what about your sleep? Have you actually considered to check your sleep hygiene? And beyond that, how is your nutrition? And most like, no, my nutrition is okay. Well, if it would be okay for your body, you would not have this inflammation for sure. So, like, what is the biggest misconception that you get from the patients that come to you for finding a solution for, let's say, belly inflammation?
Well, people come and they assume that the problem they have, like you said, means more exercise, or the problem they have means cut sugar. And the thing that they don't understand is inflammation is such a root cause issue that it is multifactorial. You kind of do have to approach it from different pillars. First pillar should definitely be sleep. If we can focus on sleep, sleep at night is when the body clears inflammation, when we clear the lymphatic system. So in Ayurveda, I teach a lot about sleep, sleep hygiene, circadian rhythm, and all those rules. Then it's take a look at what are you using on a daily basis whose toxins are interrupting your hormone system. If our hormones are imbalanced just because of the endocrine disruptors and the plastics and things we're using, I'm actually very deliberate with my children because I'm investing in their future fertility. Their future ability to have children is based on my choices since birth. So I make sure that their water bottles are metal, what they eat out of is glass or metal, all these kinds of things, the pans we use in our home, the cleaning products we use in our home, the personal care items. That's a focus when it comes to what all is accumulating into the body that the body is not able to clear, and thus it's all getting held around the belly and being stored in the love handles. I tell people, look, there's a lot of food made in factories that are made to look and taste like food, but these processed foods are not going to clear through your system. Your body's going to say, I don't know what that is, but I'll just stick it over here until I can go figure it out. And then we talk about fat. Well, it's not necessarily fat. It's fat as a storage unit for all unknown items that we chose to consume, thinking that those were food. And really, they're just foreign, all these gums and things that we have in our foods. And then I really do talk about inflammatory foods. I dive into, there's a lot of inflammatory foods out there, the top 5 or the top 10. And I say, let's do a 7-day inflammation challenge. I have one already built. Let's dive in and slowly, one by one, gently create the lifestyle habit of reducing each inflammatory food. I'm not here to take away all the fun, but gluten, sugar, dairy, meat, and alcohol are the top 5 inflammatory foods. So if we can go 80-20, where we don't consume them 80% of the time and we only consume them 20% of the time, or if we can reduce them for certain periods of time to understand if we're intolerant. Like, I'm gluten intolerant. I know that. And a lot of my clients, when I do a full 21-day Ayurvedic detox, they come to understand how intolerant they are, how much it's taking a toll on them, how inflamed it's making them. And then their own body says, actually, I want to feel amazing. Please don't do that again.
Yes, exactly. You actually are running, aren't you running right now a challenge kind of this?
Yeah, I do this. Yes, 7-day inflammation challenge. And at the beginning of February 4th, I'm going to do a workshop live called Health is Wealth, where we're going to dive into inflammation as the root cause and kick off another 7-day inflammation challenge. Because honestly, it takes practice. Sometimes I'll kick off in the 7-day challenge, and by the 5th day, I'm like, oh my God, I just ate an inflammatory food. Time to start again. Because it takes time to rebuild those habits, especially post-holiday.
Yes, exactly. And beyond the sources of food, which is also the peptides, there are a lot of inflammatory issues, not on the general meats. We're talking about meats that are actually industrial meats that have been injected with hormones and with extra things that we don't really want in our body. And especially if you live in a city, most likely the meats that you are consuming are coming from a large facilities that they are not really ethical treating the animals. We cannot compare for those people that have actually access to local meats or like local vegetables. They are not using fertilizers. And that's why I notice a change when I go to Europe, when I go back to Venezuela, where Monsanto is not actually legal.
Wow.
I see a difference on how my body is reacting, even to
For sure.
wheat. You know, like the
Yeah.
wheat in Canada is not the same like the wheat in Italy or the wheat in Venezuela. So it's actually really interesting how the land, how we actually treating the land, can actually affect the final product, right? Because we are what we eat and what they eat, right? So if you eat vegetables, doesn't mean that you're actually taking the best choice if they're actually being spread with fertilizers and glyphosate, which is actually really hard to process in the body. I wanted to share with everybody listening to a podcast some facts. This actually are coming from July 2022. So last summer, GERD, which is acid reflux, is one of the most common gastrointestinal disorders. And it has a prevalence of 20% in adults in the Western culture. And for those people that are in Canada, GERD is quite common. 1 in 6 adult Canadians are suffering of actually acid reflux. And this uncomfortable experience could be untreated and could maybe be treated with all these counter pills that you take. They are actually, I'm not going to tell you a name of it, but they're like candies. They're full of sugar and sucralose. So we have to really read our labels and see what are we taking and if it's really helping us, or if it's actually getting you into the risk of actually esophageal cancer. For those people that don't really treat on time, acid reflux can actually evolve to a cancer. And I wanted to go into something very specific that I know that you have over almost 3 years studying, which is the root of turmeric. Tell us a little bit about the discoveries that you have done through your studies on turmeric, and maybe how turmeric help us in gut health.
Sure. So I am Indian, which means I've eaten turmeric my whole life. It's been part of our diet. In Indian families, we have a little box where all of our spices are, and we use turmeric every day. In every dish, turmeric goes into pretty much everything. And growing up, I didn't respect what that meant or the benefits until I was doing my master's in Ayurvedic sciences. And I studied all the herbs in herbology. And I was like, whoa, in the West, we think of it as superfoods, but these are super spices. They're so powerful. Each one does 10 things for our health. Cilantro is amazing. Moringa is amazing. Everything, ginger, so powerful. And when I got to turmeric, I was like, this one thing can solve all of my family history problems. My family history is diabetic, all these different after effects of diabetes. I was like, I'm going to go study that in detail and see if I can create something. So I ended up doing my PhD dissertation on turmeric, which means for years, I sat there and read all the science. And we have over 6,000 scientific studies that prove the benefits of turmeric. What people don't realize nowadays is they buy raw turmeric, the plant, which is beneficial. It can do a few things for you. But in this modern day society where people think of juicing everything as being the benefit, you don't have that much bioavailability or potency coming out of just turmeric, the plant. Then you take turmeric, the plant, and you dry it. Back in India, they would dry it, and that's the spice. So when you dry it, you have that spice. You can use it in your cooking. You can sprinkle it on your chicken or eggs. That's fine. Turmeric is very beneficial. But again, you're not going to get that potency that you want. So when we talk about turmeric and how it can reduce inflammation, how it's an anti-inflammatory, it's an antioxidant, it's immune supportive, it's antibacterial, antiviral, all those different things. That comes from taking it in its most potent form. And so out of turmeric, the whole turmeric plant, only 3% is the curcuminoids. And those curcuminoids are what we know to be most effective at reducing inflammation. So there's the plant turmeric, there's the spice turmeric, and then there's the supplement or the extract that we take out of it called curcumin. And so I did all this research and I was like, okay, great. Well, people should go find a good turmeric. And my family was like, if you're going to sit there and tell everyone to take turmeric all day, you should go figure out which one's the best. And I went and I started reading the labels and I was like, wow, I really don't trust any of you. You guys are sourcing from weird places and weird countries I don't trust. You guys are really mixing up the labels, confusing the customer. You're giving them 1,000 milligrams of turmeric powder and calling it curcuma longa and confusing the customer a lot in terms of what they're getting. So I finally decided, you know what, I'm just going to make my own. And my goal was, can I prove that in Western medicine, when a doctor sees a patient and sees that the patient has inflammation, instead of giving them a prescription for whatever they're going to use, they have a new tool in their toolbox, and this new tool doesn't have side effects for the patients. And so that's what I did. I built an entire turmeric supplement line, hoping that when people have inflammation, they'll now have a natural solution they can reach for that pain, because that's what I had. I had pain so many times and I took so many anti-inflammatories and it would hurt my stomach. And all of a sudden I couldn't eat anymore. I couldn't eat my next meal. And I couldn't understand how something I took to do a good thing created such a bad effect in the end. And so when we talk about gut health, my research, when I was doing all the scientific research, showed that turmeric does help in a spectrum of different digestive conditions, such as IBS, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, acid reflux, and these kinds of things. With ulcerative colitis, they found that a lot of patients who have like a relapse rate, typically people can have a relapse rate of up to 21%. Those people, when they took curcumin as their anti-inflammatory, had a 4.7% relapse rate. So instead of 21% of people relapsing, only 4.7 did because of how it functioned in the body. And then there was a study about IBS as well. And in that one, they found that turmeric would reduce the abdominal pain, decrease the discomfort, and decrease all those symptoms of IBS that people were suffering with that were really bothering them. And so there's so many studies now, even more recent studies than when I did my dissertation, that show that meta-analysis has evidence that curcumin is a free radical scavenger. So it's going to go out there and go after all the oxidative stress in the body and help us to reduce it. So there's so many different ways that it can support the body, even with indigestion. Curcumin stimulates the gallbladder to produce bile, which some people can help improve digestion. So, what I find is people have a lot of digestive issues nowadays. They're not realizing that they're mostly rooted in inflammation. Then they're going to go out there and take this inhibitor, that inhibitor. They're going to take things that shut down processes when you could instead be using ginger lemon tea and taking a turmeric supplement and really supporting that digestive health from the ground up, allowing everything to heal, not letting inflammation cause all of its damage. And then you can go from there.
Yes, exactly. And the method that you use, I know you have a specific method. Is it first to eliminate and then to replace it, or what type of method you can use? Because if I am your patient and then we start right away to add something, but then I still have the main inflammatory inducing factor, then I'm not really doing much. I think that's one of the challenges of people. Can you please explain to us how is the method that you're applying that it really gives the biggest outcomes to your patients?
Sure. So I always start with inflammation relief and turmeric gold. Those are two formulas that I created that reduce inflammation in the body. I find sometimes you need to give people hope. You need to give them the support first, so they have their energy, they have less fatigue, less pain. And once you get them into a state of like, okay, I feel better, then we can have that conversation of, all right, let's drop the inflammatory foods. Let's just start there. Let's do a simple challenge. Let's do it a few times, where we lovingly and gently bring in healthy habits like hydration, moving, and improving sleep, and we gently reduce those inflammatory foods. That's like a good stepping stone process. And I have an inflammation guide, so I like to educate. Then after that, I say, okay, now let's get serious. The pill will not solve your problem forever if you're not willing to step in and do the work. So let's talk about my program, Fusionary Method. Let's take 6 weeks and immerse ourselves into improving sleep dramatically, taking teas and elixirs that can help support digestive health from the ground up. Ayurveda is centered around understanding that gut health and the digestive fire is the center of all health. So I like to show people how to make that the center of your life and understand how to manage that fire from morning till night, turning it on, igniting it, managing it, and then shutting it down for a better night's sleep. So yeah, I like to start easy. Let's get you hopeful again. Let's get you feeling better. 2, let's gently start creating some change in there and helping you. And then let's sign up for the real deal where we're going to immerse ourselves and create transformational shifts. So you encompass those healthy habits into a rhythm in your life. And then you can't let them go because they became part of your rhythm. And now when you don't do them, you don't feel good. So I like to get people addicted to feeling really good, and then they never quit doing all the good things for themselves.
Yes, completely. I always use the term fall in love with what you eat, because that's when I stay with you, right? So definitely, I totally believe in a behavioral change, and I totally like your method. Definitely, that's the way. Start with simple steps where the individual gets the results, to start seeing the possibility and seeing the that is actually working. So there is more commitment for more implementation of more habits. But at the end, it's a behavioral change, what we do in life. That's why we brought the habits of Dinacharya last episode, because every episode is connected to each other. We started from what is Ayurveda, what is your constitution, what type of habits we can do in general. And then now we're going a little deeper into specific pain points issues, like the gut health, which is the number one issue that is everyone in the world experiencing. And it's actually affecting our emotional state, our mental state, especially for the hormones, as we said at the beginning of the episode. I also wanted to talk a little bit of the line of products that you have, especially because I heard that you are supporting communities in India, and I think this really is close to my mission in life as a woman from Venezuela and female leader. I've been dedicating the last 5 years, at this point, 6 years, supporting 1,500 kids in Venezuela. And why? Because I'm from Venezuela, and that was the land that I was chosen to be. And then from a perspective in Canada, I know I can do so much for the people that actually created the childhood memories and created pretty much the soul and infuse who I am. So I cannot forget about my roots, and every step I do is for the community of Venezuela, especially people that are in low advantage places. And I love to see the kids getting into a different mindset, having inspiration, and this is my biggest goal. But I also know that you, Dr. Shivani, you also are contributing with the communities in India, which is so close to me as a yoga teacher and as a meditation teacher. So please tell us a little bit about the product line that you have, and also the contribution that you're doing for a big cause like India.
Sure. So this is Fusionary Formulas. This is my entire supplement line. You can see it here behind me. And I built it really to help people with that inflammation, with that pain, with the root cause issues. My goal is to get it into every single doctor's offices. So I have like 100 doctors who recommend it to their patients now. And I'm constantly meeting new doctors who want to offer new tools to their patients. And so I really built it to be that potent solution. And my goal was, can we use Ayurvedic medicine and show the world that Ayurvedic medicine is so potent? And Ayurveda is from India. And so I had this insight where I thought, I go to India. I've been going there since I was a little girl. And every time I went, I saw women on the streets. I saw people who were able to help them. And I actually heard a story about a woman who helped an entire village by creating microloans for the women in that village. And I thought, that is what I am meant to do. I'm going to find a way to fund an entire village of women and help them have financial freedom, have them be entrepreneurs and be able to take care of their family, their kids' education, and have that sovereignty in their lives and freedom to do what they need to do. And so through Fusionary, we donate every single quarter to different nonprofits that we find, women-led nonprofits locally, and we want to support those women in India because that's where turmeric comes from. That's where everything I'm doing comes from. That's my homeland. And so I want to be able to give back to there because that is where the source of all this love and wisdom has come from.
Yeah, very powerful story, providing support to communities that are actually doing big transformation for us, especially if they are actually giving us the source of the magical root that still comes from India, and then you still providing support to the householders. I know mothers and creators are always giving their best, and that's a big important part of us as women, is to give and empower other communities also. So yeah, it's really engaging, and it's actually very inspiring, your contribution with India. So thank you so much for sharing that important part for everybody to know, that part and portion of the sales go to provide support to women and to communities in India. So Shivani, Dr. Shivani, before we complete our conversation today related to gut health and turmeric, I wanted one more time for you to share with us the February workshop that you are about to deliver.
Perfect. Yes. So February 4th, my workshop is going to be called Health is Wealth. Inflammation is the root cause. And so I encourage you to join me. You can go to shivanigupta.com and sign up for the dosha quiz, or sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get all the details there about it. And if you're curious about the turmeric, my website's fusionaryformulas.com. But I love teaching on this topic of inflammation because each time someone understands it, it's a light bulb moment. And if we can all change our health, then we are that beacon of light who gets to inspire so many others to make that change, whether it's for physical health, mental health, emotional health, all those different health aspects, spiritual health, and being in alignment as you teach.
Yes, back into alignment, exactly. It's important to exactly, as soon as you transform one person, it's a ripple effect. Especially if you transform in a mother, the mother definitely will be a leader in the kitchen, and perhaps the whole family will change, and this will create a great ripple effect. So it's totally true, and I think it's important after this podcast to share the podcast with your friends, with anybody that you know that the podcast will make a change in their mindset, perhaps, or perhaps will bring a little bit curiosity about what can I do today to make my gut a little bit healthier. So again, if you have more questions, you can always get into Dr. Shivani's Instagram or website, where you can get a one-on-one consultation with her and her team. I also welcome you to join the Yoga Fitness channel. If you have any questions related to this topic, we're always here to support you, especially now at the beginning of the year, where we are actually creating the vision for the entire 2023. So thank you so much, everybody, to be able to reach to the end of this podcast. And we will have Dr. Shivani for one more week. And I can't wait to see the week. This week, you also have a workshop, right? Like a 7 days detox.
Yes, 7-day inflammation challenge. That's also linked on my website. I run that continuously because I find we all need help reducing our inflammation week after week after week. So everyone's welcome to sign up, and I'll be doing it live with you because we're kicking off the year and we all need to reduce that inflammation from the holidays.
Okay, well, there is tons of resources and support for you. So thank you so much. And remember that together we are stronger.
We invite you to subscribe to this channel and share with your community. Please leave comments below, and if you like the episode, click the like button. Have a beautiful day.